What is a good starting salary for a fresher in web development in 2025?
Products or features or anything as a matter that is more valuable than the initial salary. But yeah, like you said, the salary range has changed like crazy.
Should they be worried about AI taking away developers' jobs?
About AI replacing developers, I think. And then this framework called Angular came, and then React came, and now there is Next.js. There's so many new things that's just coming up. So I think right now, for a person who's just starting out, it could be a little overwhelming, but I wouldn't say it's not doable.
Beginner.
I think when you start off, especially for like a person who has no idea about coding, like very new to coding, they should just maybe.
Hi everyone, we are today with Elizabeth, who is my colleague from the last company, and she's doing great in her life. She has a vast number of experience, and she leads a team in a big IT company. To talk more into it, we will get started with her, and we'll try to understand today more in depth about the front end development, how AI will impact this or not, and we'll try to get a lot of details from her experience. So we will get started soon with her. First of all, a very warm welcome, Elizabeth, to this podcast of All About Success. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bridget. I'm really excited for our conversation today. And yeah, really nice catching up with you after a really long time.
Okay, so Elizabeth, help me understand what made you come into front end development, or what is the motivation at the start, and give a little introduction about where things started.
Right. So I graduated in 2030 as a computer science engineer. I did my BTech in Kerala, and I got placed initially in a company called Emphasis, and I worked there for like 3 years. And in between, I left that job to take up teaching. I taught for a while, and then that's when COVID hit, and things were not going well with the teaching job that I had. And I really missed coding. I think everyone, like whoever is like has the slightest idea about coding or has coded for a bit, they know that it's a beautiful process of just typing out code and watching that happen, turn out to be change the things in your screen. Yeah, so I really missed that part, and that's how I got into coding again. I joined a startup where I met you, and we worked for a couple of years together.
Yeah,
And it was an amazing journey. I mean,
it was completely amazing.
yeah, it was so much fun. And I worked there for close to 4 years. And right now, I'm working for another company. And I am working. So all these years, I've been working primarily as a front end developer. And recently, I am also leading one team, one project. So I'm working as a project manager as well.
Okay, awesome to hear that experience. I have been working with Elizabeth. I had worked with Elizabeth, and she is great to work with as a person. She is really down to earth, and she stays grounded. And we had a long discussion in meetings as well, and it was completely a memory to be cherished.
Yeah.
So, Elizabeth, give me a little understanding. Why do you think that front end development is a bit of tough for someone who is completely a fresher and wants to join today the IT industry or into front end development?
Right. Front end development compared to a couple of years back right now could be a little overwhelming for a lot of people who are just starting out, because right now in front end landscape there's like so many tools and frameworks that's just coming up. There initially was Angular. We started with, I remember when back then I there was just jQuery, and then this framework called Angular came, and then React came, and now there is Next.js. There's so many new things that's just coming up. And even when it comes to styling CSS and all, initially there was just plain CSS, and then now there are new frameworks right now for a Tailwind, Chatsy, and like so many new things. So for a junior, someone very new to coding, it would be very overwhelming. They would just be confused, like where would I start? How will I get a job with so many new things coming up? So I think right now for a person who's just starting out, it could be a little overwhelming, but I wouldn't say it's not doable. It's definitely achievable. The demand for like good engineers is always on the rise, no matter if it's a startup or a big company. everywhere the demand for good engineers is there, especially front end developers.
Okay. So just give me something that this can be called as the fastest roadmap, and someone wants to learn today web development in 2025, and they want a clear specific roadmap. So what would be your advice?
So initially, I would ask that person to focus on the first 3 months just on plain on the basics. So the basic foundation, that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For the first 2 to 3 months, if they just focus on that, if they get the JavaScript game strong, then they can easily jump onto frameworks like React, Next.js, Angular, whatever it may be, and they can build on top of it. They can build like small projects. So I think just if you're only stuck in some just learning phase, that's not going to work. You'll have to, like, every keep a deadline, like, okay, in the first month I've learned so and so, now let me make a small project. It can be very small, like something like a to-do list or a small website with the basic things, that whatever you've learned so far, the basic things, you can just build small pet projects. And then as and when you learn more things, you can build on top of it, or you can build more projects. And this would be so right now people don't really look into certifications, but even if you are looking for certifications, I would say it would be just to help you bring a structure on your learning path. So something like Meta's front end developer certificate, that is pretty I think it's quite famous, and it gives you a structure on how to, like, go from one topic to another. So following certifications like Meta's, this thing, it's like really good. Otherwise, you can look at Free Code Camp. They have free courses on YouTube, on their website. You can check it out. All these are very informative, but I would say please don't get lost into just tutorials. As soon as you learn something,
Implement it.
build a project. Yes, action is always needed. You just build something, post it on LinkedIn, say that, hey, I made something small, however small it is. Don't be embarrassed of, like, however small it is. Document your entire learning on
Mhm.
building things on LinkedIn or Twitter, and make sure people notice you. Yeah, especially when you're a beginner, make sure people notice you. So I'm pretty sure, like, if you do that continuously for like a month or two, people will notice you. You opportunities will just come to you.
So I think I could take a lot of takeaways from this, what you have mentioned. First, you need to dig into detail. You have to be very much goal focused, and you have to create a to-do list. Then you have to like headband straight into what you're doing, and you have to keep implementing those. Set a clear timelines and just see where you're progressing towards. I think that is something that we need to understand, and someone who wants to come into front end development, and that would be the fastest roadmap. Maybe 3 months down the line, how do you want to see yourself, and how you want to question yourself, and try to strategically think how you want to proceed in your life to make it a smoother career for you.
Right, right.
So Elizabeth, like for beginners, which language would you recommend? Is it JavaScript or Python, which would be the most something that they can start?
Okay, so when it comes to front end, it's mainly JavaScript. Front end JavaScript is like the key dominator, and I
Okay.
don't think there are other languages. I mean, there are, but 90 more than 95% of the companies, they use JavaScript on front end, and it's quite, it's a tricky language, but at the same time, it's quite easy to pick up for a beginner. And so, if you want to focus on front end development, I would suggest people to pick up on JavaScript as the language. For Python equally is also a very easy language to pick. It's almost like English. It's very readable, and it's for a beginner, it's very easy to pick up. But Python is limited to things like automation, building automation tools, and also in the AI space. In the AI space, you use a lot of Python language. So for a beginner, I would suggest JavaScript, and later, once they get a grasp of front end development, and maybe if they want to explore, like, a back end development, Python is a great language to pick up.
So when you talk about that, do you only want someone to focus on one, mastering one tech stack, or you know, exploring multiples as they go ahead as a beginner? Because in the first 1 or 2 years, they're still a beginner and in the first phase of learning.
Right, right. Yeah. I think when you start off, especially for like a person who has no idea about coding, like very new to coding, they should just, maybe for the first 6 months, I would suggest them to just focus completely on, let's say, front end development. I wouldn't ask them to dive into backend development first because front end development is relatively easier to pick up on. So if they start with front end development, they get an idea of how the browser work, how things work. Then slowly they can shift to backend. Uh, I would suggest for a person like who's starting out, once they get uh, an average idea of front end, slowly move into back end, and then the first couple of years try to be try to be a full stack developer so that you get an idea of how front end and back end works. And a couple of years down the line, then you can focus on just one thing, either front end or back end. Yeah, I think, and also like even if you look into the market right now, there's a lot of demand for full stack developers rather than just front end and back end. Juniors generally they look for full stack developers because they would want someone who can pick up on different things immediately. And yeah, for junior roles, mostly they look at full stack roles.
So when you talked about the certifications, people don't look at. Do you see that in the industry when you're going for getting interviewed, certifications are a bit of worth it for freshers because they do not have anything to show. So something maybe a LinkedIn certification. You've mentioned a couple of certifications though, but does that still get a overage or edge to them?
Right. Couple of years back, I would say certifications would help. But right now, people just look at projects. They just want to see,
Okay.
okay, can this person do this? Let's say you've built
The
a
real-time implementation, the
yeah,
real-time projects.
right. So there's this platform called GitHub, where you can, push your projects. You can host it for free using Netify, and there are certain places where you can host your projects for free. If you're just able to add these projects in your resume, more than certifications, definitely projects is like the most important things what recruiters look at. And certification, I wouldn't say no to certification for someone who is very overwhelmed with like right now in 2025 we have so many resources online on YouTube blogs, so many things are just coming up new almost every day, like 100 new things are coming up, right? The resources are coming up for naturally for a beginner it can be very overwhelming. So for people like that, I would definitely say like please try the Meta's front end developer certificate course because it has a structure. So if you want structure, just stick to one thing, just follow that structure. So you will get an idea about things. And on the side, maybe you can explore more into topics, whatever they say in the certification course. So, but if you're just looking for a certification, no, on this day, like this time, more than certificates, projects really matter.
Okay. So when you talked about the information, there are a lot of information. People are getting overwhelmed with the information in the internet. They are like not specifically into one specific certain, course, and they are also lost, and they also lose the momentum in the course. So what could be the very best, method to remain focused into one course and that then not get lost all over the place?
I think that's a lot to do with discipline. I mean, person needs to have a lot of discipline. I think for let's just say like, for 1 week, you yourself, I mean, to any new person, just create a thing like, okay, for 1 week, I'm going to stick to this certification course and I'll stick to this structure. This every day I'm going to complete this and this modules from that respective certification. I think if you can create a habit around it for like 1 week, I'm sure that naturally for the in the following weeks it'll just come and you'll be able to create a structure. But to newbies again, I would suggest don't get I know that whenever you go through tutorials or go through course, you feel like you're making progress. But unless or until you're not building things, you're not making a small project, unless you're not coding anything, you're not actually making progress. This tutorials and everything creates an illusion that you're making progress. But unless or until you're not coding, like, typing by yourself, coding,
This is
you're
just a piece of things on the paper.
right, exactly. Yeah.
So your certifications will only hold weight when you try to give hands-on on the project and then showcase it in the LinkedIn. Like I have made these projects, I have done implementation
Right.
on them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And
So yep.
also right now the competition also like we can't deny that competition right now it's like very high, right? So even if you want to grab someone's attention, posting on LinkedIn on a regular basis, and maybe like you need to think out of the box also. Like let's say just simply applying for job posting also might not work. So probably like if let's say there's a company that you're interested in, you can just go to the website. If you can find one small feature that you would like to optimize, you think that okay, if I add this code, it'll look good. Make a side project on that. Send it to the founder or whoever. Like if it's a startup, send it to the founder. People like startups is a very beautiful place to begin your career.
begin and
So
thrive
much.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I think with Prajit and I can like, vouch for it. We had so much fun.
Relate for that because that
Learn
shaped the most of our career, I think.
exactly. Yes, absolutely. Like yeah, so like if you can get into a startup, for example, just visit their website. If you see something small you would like to improve, or if you find a bug, or if you find something, you can just put like a small code fix or something. Send it to that founder, send it to the developer. In LinkedIn, I know LinkedIn, you can easily find whoever works in that company. Just send it to them immediately. And that is definitely going to catch someone's attention more than just simply sending a resume. If I'm
Yes,
pretty 100% sure that, chances of getting a job like that is way higher than just simply shooting out resumes. So if you can like, think out of the box, do things like this, definitely like, people will notice you.
people are doing that kind of, the competition is high, and if you do not stand out
Yeah,
from the crowd, like, then you're going to be lost in the race. And
right,
this is a very stiff competition, tough competition, and the world is like crazily hardworking.
right.
But there are also a bunch of people who are just shooting in the dark, thinking that their resumes will get shortlisted or founders will call them, but that is not the backstory. The backstory is completely different.
Yeah. So like if you're starting out, definitely like Biprajit said, like do something out of the box like this. And maybe a couple of years later, when you have a number of years of experience under your belt, then yeah, progressing and moving ahead will be very easy.
So just tell me one thing. What would you still be counted as the most important factor to land a job? Is it resume, projects we have talked about, resume, projects, DSA, or a bit of networking, or complete blend of all?
For a junior, complete junior, like, who would just love to get their foot in the door, I would say projects and networking. So projects we already talked about. Networking, if you can on LinkedIn, like, just put things on LinkedIn. If you comment on other people's posts, if you can shoot out things like, messages to founders or engineers in a company, I think, and building your network, that I think that's like an incredible thing to do.
In the same domain, if we build a network, tomorrow those networks could be your great help when you need that help. And
Right.
people do help in LinkedIn in far great way than we can think about. And I think LinkedIn is such a great place to be in. And
Right.
the more faster you realize that, I think that would be a gold mine for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, like, you
Uh,
have worked remotely. Yep. Do you want to say something?
yes. So you mentioned DSA. So DSA is also important if you want to crack into companies like the product based companies like Walmart, Amazon, or those FANG companies and all. DSA is still valued. And I think if you grind and, if you have the time, if you have the discipline, if you can, like, grind DSA, I think that will absolutely help you career wise. You can also stand out amongst a lot of applicants. Yeah, I think DSA is also important, but in a time when people are just overwhelmed with a lot of things where competition is really high, if you can just get your foot in the door to by building projects, showing real stuff, I think that's way more important.
So, you have worked remotely. I have worked remotely. So many people say that remote work may not be good for beginners, and it may not get themselves foot in the door, and maybe they might be underutilizing the time because they're working from home, and certain kind of things come in the mind. So, what do you think? Is remote work good or bad for beginners in tech?
I think remote work is incredible for everyone, but for someone who is just starting out, I would say maybe hybrid would work, but completely remote, unless you don't have any other choice, yeah, okay, absolutely go for it.
You're taking
But
care of the family and things like that.
yeah, exactly. But if you're like, if you have the resources and, obligations to like, stay at home and stuff, go for an in-office job because the amount of learning, like, working in an office with your team. in person, it's, the difference is like completely different when you're working remotely. In office, you get to interact with people. That human connection is important. Mentorship also is much easier in person rather than remote. So communication also can be difficult when it's remote, especially for someone who's just beginning. So yeah,
If you
absolutely.
jump into meetings, if you have to make things in place and optimize the time that you have been given, I think that can be something a challenge initially, but once you get the hang of it, I think
Right.
things fall into place.
Exactly. Like business said, maybe like not remote work for an entire year, but maybe like when you're starting out, if you can like, meet people in person, work with your team in person, I think that can really like help you with your communication skills,
Hmm.
with mentorship that you receive. Everything can be like, sky. That progress is much higher compared to remotely while you're working remotely.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, it depends person to person. How do you want to take it? And if you want to go for hybrid or in office or completely remote, the
Yeah,
choice is completely on you, and you have to take your decision for your career.
correct.
So the next question would be, in your opinion, the what do you think? Will AI make developers work easier in the future or completely replace them? And should freshers who are watching this video about the front end developing stuff, should they be worried about AI taking away developers' jobs? Because you have also told that good engineers have a place in the IT industry, but
Yes.
on top of it, what do you want to add?
About AI replacing developers, I think developers who don't use AI, they are going to be replaced by people who use AI. That's what I see because AI, I'm just like, I can just share with my personal experience. Like, I use ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, and all. These tools really help to create the boilerplate code. Like, let's say you have a UI that you want to build. I'm talking about front end development. So, let's say you have this UI, I need a form and I need a button. So, instead of spending a lot of time building the UI, this thing, if I can say, okay, hey, this is how the UI, I can give a design to ChatGPT or anything. Like, I want the UI to look like this in React JS with CSS, JavaScript, and everything. Can you just give me a code for this? So it'll give you the basic thing, and that is beautiful. Like, if I can help you make your work push
A lot
faster,
faster.
and you can work on the this is where AI comes in. It can help you create boilerplate code, but on top of it, working on it, bringing in the logic, optimizing stuff, making the page performance really good. All these things, I still believe engineers are still required. Front end developers. So don't worry about like front end developers being replaced by AI. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's definitely going to help you. Your productivity is going to be really high, and the way you work is going to be different. But like I said, like the situation is not like 5 years back. The benchmark right now would be higher. So while you're coding, I think there are companies, I don't remember which company, but recently on LinkedIn, I saw one company, their coding interviews are going to use, they would expect their developers to use AI, like GitHub, Copilot,
Mhm.
and those tools. Like they're looking for developers who are comfortable using these tools. So
Yes, very
companies, yeah,
truly, truly. The AI in place in times of this 2025, I think AI will be a major game changer on how we want to shift our work to a next level,
right.
and how we see things, and it completely helps us to become a better individual in terms of productivity.
Absolutely true. And but yeah, the benchmark is definitely going to be higher. Like if you're like if you just know the basics of coding, that just wouldn't do. You need to be a level above. You need to know how to use these AI tools to help you move things faster. I mean, if people definitely would want to hire someone who can build things for them faster and in a smarter way, rather than person who just knows how to code the basic stuff. I mean, they themselves would ask, like, hey, if I can get the basic stuff done by ChatGPT or any AI tool, what can you bring into the table, right? So that you need to think from that.
Angle, correct. So now let's get into salary and career growth. What is a good starting salary for a fresher in web development in 2025? How do you see that?
Um, I think the average salary for a fresher is between anywhere. It can go anywhere between uh, 5 to 7.
Markets
And
have changed a lot.
sorry,
Markets have changed for a lot.
right, right. Yeah, markets have changed a lot. I remember when I started out, it used to be 3 to 6. It used to be
Six.
like a good salary. This was back in 2013. But I do agree there are startups which offer very low salary, but at the same time, there are people who are willing to throw so much money. I've seen freshers getting easily 12 LPA, 20
Yeah,
LPA, and
correct, correct.
just
That's
the
so true.
range is just very different. But for person starting out, I would say don't look at the salary. I mean, like if you're learning so much, that is way important. I mean, that can help you. That experience can translate into more next the salary, whatever you're earning. So definitely in the beginning, look at the experience. Experience is what matters. The company that you work for matters. So if you can build like really beautiful, crazy, amazing products or features or anything as a matter, that is more valuable than the initial salary. But yeah, like you said, the salary range has changed like crazy. Like once you get a couple of years of experience, salaries can go to 20 LPA, 30 LPA, goes to like crazy amounts. And big companies like Microsoft, Facebook, and all, they are willing to pay a huge amount, like 75
Huge
LPA.
amount
Yeah,
to grab the real talent and
right,
someone who can
exactly. Yeah,
bring something on the table. Right.
yeah, exactly.
So you
So
have covered my almost next question. What does salary really matter in the first job, or is learning really important? I think we have covered the basics and moved to the most extreme part of the questions. But one final advice, if you want to give, Elizabeth, to all the freshers who are watching this video, what would be it?
I would say, like, don't like think about just money aspect into any job, like irrespective of tech or anything. Tech is such an exciting place to be. I love coding. I love front end development. I've got my hands a little dirty with backend as well, but I really enjoy tech, and I think it makes a lot of our lives easier when you think about the actual use cases and stuff. So it's an exciting time to be alive in. I know AI tools and everything, all these conversations about AI replacing developers, it will keep coming and going. I mean, if you think about it, when calculators came in, I remember
Every new thing came as an opportunity, and people grabbed
exactly.
onto it and went on making a lot of good opportunities for them.
Right. So keep an open mindset. If you're scared of new things coming, thinking that okay, it'll replace you, yeah, feed into that fear and build on top of it. Like, think of like, okay, how can I get one step ahead? How can I use this to like, make my skills stand out? How can I work on my skills? How can I add new skills to my tool set? Tech is such a beautiful place to be in. If I could give one advice, just keep building projects, keep updating your LinkedIn profile, post whatever progress, however small your progress is, just keep updating on LinkedIn or any other platform. Write, if you can write blogs and all, that will also be great. Just make yourself noticeable to people, to recruiters, to founders of any companies or developers of any company that you would like to work with. That can definitely get you to places.
Okay, awesome. We have got a bunch of advice, and we had really a wonderful session picking the mind of Elizabeth. It was complete privilege to host you, Elizabeth, and thank you so much for joining in this session.
Thank you, Viprasad. This is a fun conversation. Yeah, I really hope your channel, like reaches many people who are willing to crack into tech, especially front end development. Yeah, all the
People
best.
like you would make it possible in the channel. Would surely love to host more sessions with you,
Of course.
and thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Viprasad. Thank you.
Thank you.